Last Christmas, my wife and I were in Helena, Montana, and our daughter Emily was having her first baby. And the baby boy was born with the assistance of a midwife on Christmas Eve. So much of this story is true. A few of the details are made up. I'll let you decide which ones those are. What is that? What's that sound? Santa woke up. Oh man, that's that baffle in the kitchen. That's banging. Oh man, that only bangs when the wind is blowing 50 miles an hour. Oh, just what I need, a 50-mile-an-hour wind on Christmas Eve. But it was 2020 after all plans out the window. 2020, nothing was going to be easy. Well, Santa had been doing this midnight ride for hundreds of years, but 2020 presented new challenges. Why, how was he going to deliver presents to these houses that were in quarantine or lockdown? And what about these houses that were infected and didn't even know they were infected? Santa couldn't risk being a super spreader, spreading this disease from every house throughout the entire world. And besides, his jiggling belly and white beard put him in a few vulnerable categories himself. Well, Santa and his elves had come up with a COVID strategy. Santa was going to put a red wetsuit over his warm clothing, and at every stop, one of his elves was going to spray him with a disinfectant. But to do this, he was going to have to carry hundreds of gallons of disinfectant and an extra elf. So he was going to need a much bigger sleigh and probably about 4 more reindeer. Now, even in normal years, when he had 8 reindeer, it was really hard landing on some of these smaller roofs. And now we had the wind too. Well, Santa's mind already worried about the day he just got up. And he put on his coffee and he got his phone and he went to the weather app. Oh man, this horrible wind, it's all across North America and much of Central and Northern Asia too. And it's not going to let up till tomorrow morning. Well, with this heavy sled and this wind, would this team be able to keep up? Would they be exhausted? Well, even in normal years, he had a tough time delivering presents to every girl and boy in the world by dawn. If he was held up by this wind, what would happen? What if some of the children didn't get presents on Christmas? Santa couldn't bear to think about it. Well, Santa had a COVID plan, but he didn't have a plan for both COVID and this wind. All day, Christmas Eve, he and his elves tried to come up with a strategy. They sprayed one of the reindeer with a lubricant with the idea that it would lessen the wind resistance. But the reindeer overheated and got loopy from the fumes. They checked the internet, they did everything, but they did not find a solution. Well, midnight came. Santa cracked the whip and way into the sky they flew. But as soon as he turned into the wind, the sled almost stopped. The pelting snow hit his face like shotgun pellets. And just as he had been concerned about, his team was exhausted. By the time they reached Montana, the team needed a rest, and he was already half an hour behind. He had to get them some rest, and he had to find some way to alleviate this wind. Just past the state capitol in Helena, he saw a house with lights on and landed in the backyard. Knocked at the door. An old guy, gray beard, balding, came to the door. Santa! What, Santa? Wow, Santa, come in, Santa. Wow, can I get you a eggnog or hot chocolate or something? Yeah, eggnog would be great. I gotta let my reindeer rest for a while. He watched as the old guy topped off the eggnog with a very healthy dose of brandy and poured an even stronger one for himself. Santa's eyes widened as he heard moaning inside the house. Oh, don't worry about that, Santa. That's my daughter, Emily. She's having a baby, Santa, tonight. She's having a baby. Emily and the midwife are back in the bedroom. Santa sipped his eggnog and the brandy warmed him and mellowed him. He told the old guy about his problem. Well, Santa, Emily and Joel, they're real Montana outdoors people. They hike and backpack and fish. They got all sorts of gear. Maybe they got something that will help you. The old guy took Santa into the back bedroom and opened a closet full of boots and pants and coats and gloves, all in the latest wind-resistant high-tech fabrics. But what really caught Santa's eye were the baby gifts laid out on the bed. Brightly colored booties, socks, caps. But what really drew Santa was just a plain blue baby blanket. The old guy saw Santa where Santa was gazing. I'm sorry, Santa. You can't have that one, I'm afraid. My wife made that. That one is really special. Every stitch is sewn with a mother's love for her daughter upon her birth of her first baby and for the love of a grandson yet to come. I understand that, Santa said as his eyes moistened. I think I better go. Thanks for the eggnog. Outside, the reindeer had nestled into the grass and enjoying their newfound shelter and rest. Santa dejectedly got them up. Just as they roused, the old guy came running out with the blue blanket. Here, Santa, I guess you can take it. Please take it. Just bring it back and don't tell my wife. Santa wrapped the blanket under the harness of the lead reindeer. They took off above the state capitol. As if by a miracle, the sleigh sliced through the wind. Santa should have known. The most powerful thing in the world is a mother's love, and not far behind is a grandmother's love for her daughter upon her first baby. The wind was no match for a sleigh enveloped in such love. Santa quickly gained time and in fact finished several minutes early in the Southern Hemisphere. He had to get back to Helena to return the blanket. Coming up over McDonald Pass, he could see the lights were still burning on 6th Avenue East. He landed, he kneeled down in front of the front reindeer, and he saw that the blanket was ripped and torn by the wind, was ripped by the rubbing harness. It was stained and it smelled of reindeer sweat. It was barely more than a rag. Ashamed, Santa tucked the blanket inside of his jacket, knocked on the door. As the old man opened the door, Santa was greeted by the sounds of a newborn baby crying. He's here, Santa, he's here. He was born about an hour ago. Santa, come in, come in, come in. The old guy took Santa back to the bedroom. Santa took in the scene. The exhausted but radiant mother with the tiny babe to her breast. The anxious father, the glowing grandmother, the efficient midwife kneeling around her. All that was needed was a donkey in a manger. Santa held out the blanket. I am so sorry that I have ruined this blanket for you, but I want you to know, I hope you understand that it was love from this blanket that saved Christmas for thousands, if not millions, of little boys and girls across the world. Thank you so much. He took the blanket and swaddled the baby in the blanket. This is your miracle blanket, little buddy. Thank you so much. Don't let go of it, okay? A tiny hand came up through one of the holes in the blanket and grasped the torn lining.